Brother L, and I'd like to welcome you to the very first live PA workshop series. Now, what does that all mean? Electronic music for performance. How we approach it, you know, and how we connect with the audience. I mean, that's the most important part, right? If you are communicating, which music is a tool to communicate, well, you gotta have a message, you gotta have something to say. And how fluid are you in getting your message across? And do people understand you? Those are things that we'll cover. But first,
this is AQ checking in with Brother L on the live PA workshop. We're discussing oscillation today. You heard of LFO? We're talking about LFO, low frequency oscillation. According to Wikipedia, LFO or low frequency oscillation is an electronic frequency which is usually below 20 hertz and creates a rhythmic pulse or sweep. This pulse or sweep is used to modulate musical equipment such as synthesizers to create audio effects such as vibrato, tremolo, and phasing. So in other words, it's sort of a low frequency that cuts in and out of like the main frequency that you're trying to play, and the difference between those sounds and the pulsing sort of between it creates a contrast that can become like rhythmic or melodic in some cases. So oscillation really just means, well, I'll give the definition once again. This is a different website. This is not Wikipedia, but it says an electroacoustical device used to generate signals with specific waveforms, right? And so, in other words, you know, I have an oscillator on my machine that generates not only like, you know, the speed, you know, a waveform, but then you can shape the waveform and modulate the speed of that waveform, how frequently that wave moves up and down, and how deep, how wide that wave is. And so, you know, that creates a wide range of different effects depending on what you do with it. So yeah, this is AQ checking in, looking forward to building with y'all. Get it in. Thank you, Brother L.
You know, oscillator is something that is it's a frequency that usually especially a low frequency oscillator. It's a frequency that's sort of pulsed in certain intervals in the main waveform and sort of in between the main wave and frequency that you're trying to play. So you're trying to play one frequency, and then you've got this other frequency coming in and out, interchanging with it. And you can hear how low that frequency is compared to the other frequency. Well, let's see how we can use it to make something. See what we're doing with this one. Yeah, that's that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Aquil. I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Do you mind breaking apart what you just did?
Sure.
Can you work out of that?
Yeah, so what you're seeing happening here is, I'm just gonna unmute everything. And piece by piece, we'll solo it. So this one was this sort of like pulsating, and the way I use the oscillator here is really around the speed of the oscillator, because I want it to like be rhythmic. So I wanted the pulsations to happen on the same sort of internal rhythm to that when I have it programmed to hit, to trigger. This one, honestly, the way that that I use the oscillator on this one was that essentially, well, besides changing the pitch so it's a lower thump, I actually made the modulation, I turned up the modulation speed so it would be sort of very quick. It wouldn't be a lot of vibrato. So I wanted a really sort of clean sounding, like thumpy kick. And I just changed the depth of the modulation so it's sort of right smack in the middle, just not a very, like, doesn't go very far, it's just sort of hitting right in the center. I use the oscillator here mostly around the speed of the modulation to get that low vibrato that you're hearing in there. This also has a bass boost in here, so that's why it's really thumping, but it's using the speed of the modulation to sort of get that sort of like rattle in it. And then lastly, for this beat, again, this is using the speed of the modulation, but then also the depth of the modulation to sort of change like the character of these these frequencies that are sort of hitting at different pitches, right? They sort of, it's almost like an arpeggiated pitch sort of thing, cascading sort of sound. So I just wanted to adjust sort of the speed of it. And I'll show you. So you can make it faster or slower. Right, and so I was going for a slower effect, sort of chimey. And this is kind of how it all came out together. And then when you heard me doing some more melodic parts, I was using the oscillator to change the pulsing of the melodic parts. But I did a lot of playing with it in between, so I'll try to get it back to where it was. So I'm using those sort of odd melodic sort of shifts, especially with the oscillator, to create just like a little bit more texture to the sound. So in this case, that's how I'm using the LFO, and the pulsing sort of breaks it up, so it's not a really like, it's not a melodic sound that sort of breaks through the mix. It sort of goes in and out, so you can hear it, and then there are times when it fades out. And then lastly, with this instrument, while I was doing sort of something rhythmic here and melodic here, I sort of took out some of the competing sounds and then you start to hear me improvise. And what you're hearing is me using just one tone or two, sometimes going between tones, but using, again, this oscillator to get different pulses at different frequencies and times and intervals to give it sort of like a shifting and moving effect. But then again, using this sort of happy accident of my interval knob to change the character and using that in a sort of rhythmic and improvisational way to sort of, to combine the effects to make, to once again, to like add more texture, more feel, and more movement to all the oscillation that's happening. And that is my awesome oscillation example.
Let's talk about how we make sounds, or rather, how I make sounds. I like to start from a waveform. And today I have this very interesting synthesizer called a Medusa. And it's a 3-voice synthesizer, analog. And it also has 3 digital voices. So it kind of has the best of both worlds merged with a really cool grid sequencer, right? All right, enough of that, but, right? Kind of like a keyboard, right? So you do, re, mi, fa, do, la, si, do, that kind of thing, right? But you can do something interesting with this because that's just a regular wave. I could tune it, right? That's always cool, right? So I'm gonna start there, tuning. Since I have 3 oscillators, I could make sure they're all down, but the first one is up, right? And there's a lot of different things you could do to make the color of a sound brighter or a little bit darker. A lot of people know about filters, but filters are merely just EQs. And now it's just suggested to cut off. And what resonance does is that whatever's cut off, it helps reintroduce that. Okay, that's cool. But how does it make sense with production and building a sound, right? So we have what you call an envelope. Attack, that's how fast or when you engage the sound. The decay is how long that sound is at its maximum. And the sustain is after the maximum, what do you want the sound to do? That's the kind of way to think about it, right? And then the release is that like, how long do you want this sound to stay around? I wish I could, design a synthesizer version of how I'd like to engage with people. Do I want to go smooth? I just made a longer attack, right? And do I want to hang around long? Right? So, now that's the first thing, okay? But that's just one oscillator. So what happens if we introduce another oscillator? And they don't all have to do the same thing, which is the cool part. So let's introduce another oscillator. Now you see the sound has increased in value because it's at the same pitch, but I can move it. Okay. It's at unison now, right? Unison, both sounds are at the same pitch. Now I'm going to take it an octave down. Gives it some body. Woo! It's sounding cool already, right? Because we can go some. Hang around long time, and then they'll bring it out. I really like messing with the envelopes, but now that's a pretty simplified, I say simplified, that's a new word. That's a simple version of how we can work these things. But what happens if I introduce a third oscillator, right? I could have that third oscillator do something different. Well, let's try to figure that out. Oh, but I didn't mention that these waves have forms, and the waveform that we're using right now is a saw, so it's very sharp, if you think about it, right? I should have went through those particular sounds, you know, saw, square, you know, but in this result, it doesn't matter so much, because what we'll do is that we'll introduce this third oscillator. Remember, it's at unison. All you really do is you hear an increase in value. I'll turn everything down except, now you hear those two. That third oscillator. That second oscillator. Pretty cool, right? What happens if I take that first oscillator and, oh, by the way, that third oscillator, I raised it to 7, so 7 semitones, right? On a 12 tone scale, right? So it's already more interesting. But, and I got right here the levels of which we can do it. But now, let's take the first oscillator and change the tuning. I made a chord. Everybody knows what a chord is, right? We're making harmony, right? One note does this, another note does that, another note does that. For those who don't understand musical theory, that's all it is, and they're all in harmony, right? So I got 3 notes, 3 tones doing different things. This one is a fourth. So the first one is a fourth. I have the second one straight up and down, so it's 0. And then the third one is on the 7th. So now what happens if we want to introduce some movement outside of us making the movement? Because I can make the movement all alone. Okay, what we would do is we would automate it. And one of the tools to use for automation is a low frequency oscillator. So we could mess with that, but there's many ways to modulate your sound, right? And that's all about the automation. So if I engage the LFO here, and let's see, double tap, sometimes it comes on, and then sometimes it don't. There we go. It's tricky. Okay, that one came on. All right, now it's on. Which one are we on? All right, cool. Let's put it on the cutoff. So now it's modulating the cutoff. Remember, this was the cutoff, and I was making the frequency dull, I was pulling off all the highs when I went. But now I'm doing it with the low frequency oscillator. I'm modulating it, right? I'm automating it to do something different so I can do something myself. I kind of think that's really the essence of electronic music, is that there are these tools that are available to automate things so you can do more and apply yourself where you want to be applied, right? So right now I got it going kind of fast. You get like a very, very chill vibrato. Faster. Pretty cool. Now, you saw how we started, right? And now you see where we at. I just introduced one oscillator. I could do another. Let's have another modulation source. So let's set our target at just maybe, let's set our target at, there's so many different things we could do. We could do pitch. I'll set the target at pitch just so you can see what happens. Oh, actually it went to not pitch. Way more interesting than where we started. But the premise is I'm gonna automate some things so I can do some other things, free myself up. I kind of like that sound. Let's put a beat to it. This machine right here is called the OPZ, and it does various things. It's a synthesizer and sampler, and it's built for performance, and it's tethered with this iPad. The interesting thing is that it works standalone on its own, right? So you don't have to really worry about remembering your iPad, and then you can actually have something to play with and produce music on the go. You just have to remember what these knobs do, and they came up with a really creative system to let you know what's happening here. Green is green, blue is blue. You see it's represented here on the screen. I have the screen open because it's very helpful, because you see into all the detail of what's happening with the sound, so it makes a lot of sense. So let's go to a kick drum. Which one you like? I like those. For some reason, I'm feeling this one. See, I want to turn it up a little bit. Okay, so let's put our metronome on. Turn it up the level of the metronome. You can change the sound of the metronome on this joint. It's crazy.
Uno, due, tre, quattro. 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 Uno,
Actually, that one
due,
sounds
tre,
pretty cool too.
quattro. Uno, due, tre, 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 quattro.
No need for that now because I got it in sync, right? So I can turn it down. But sometimes you could put that back in there and it'll sound kind of fresh. Much better than a normal metronome, let me tell you. We cool with that. So basically, I'm just finding some sounds to work with. I think let's put a timekeeping piece in here. And now that we've done that, I think I want to take off this bass drum. And I like that rhythm more. Turn it up.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Just in case you thought that you were like, wait a minute, why did the sound change? So through a real tripped out update, when you hold down this, I don't know what this H button is, but when you hold it down, it does a thing where it reverts back to the previously saved pattern. And well, sometimes that's not so good. It didn't used to do that, but it's actually kind of fresh sometimes because it'll like help you move through different sample allotments. Having too much fun up in here. Okay, so what was I doing? Made a sound, end up going with another sound. Let's make another sound. So we didn't go through the oscillators, right? Yeah, so let's do that again. Well, the digital oscillators. The digital oscillators are another thing, right? Okay. Just kind of setting up these ducks. The pattern was kind of funky. Let's see here. Okay, let's quickly find something we like. So if you really want to go into it, right, probably one of the easy things to do is to start working with the second waveform. Pull that third waveform in. And we could also change the actual wave. Sounds interesting, huh? Okay, we also have noise. I'll put this noise in. Okay, so we have some digital oscillators as well, so I'm gonna pull those down. So you hear? They sound a little different, and that's all the waves at once. It's kind of interesting how that's the lowest, because they're canceling each other out based on the pattern of the waves, right? I'm liking this square. What I wanted to do, who knows? Let's see something. Let's pull back our sounds in. Starting to get complex. Let's put a little bit of there we go. That button's a little stuck, I see. That's okay. Let's give it a target. So remember what I was telling you about pitch. can set the target to whatever you like. Now I got it set to the resonance. So the resonance works where, like I told you, anything you cut off in a filter can be reintroduced into the signal. And you do this for various reasons. Change the color. Remember, we always working with colors, vibes, vibrations, frequencies, right? I kind of like the undercurrent of that resonance. Let's get this second LFO going. As soon as I take my hand off, it stops because I didn't change the release. Let's engage a third LFO. Find our target. What do we want to change? I'm digging this. So let's talk about a real thing people are into these days, modulus synthesis. Well, in many ways, you could think about any synthesizer in the same capacity. So this synthesizer is broken up to modules or areas that do specific functions. And you can actually see how it's orchestrated with these little squares. It kind of let you know, okay, well, that's a module, this is a module, that's a module, that's a module, this, okay, all right. And then when you see people have these elaborate racks, they'll have an oscillator just there. They'll have another oscillator. And they'll connect all these things. They'll connect it to an envelope. They'll connect it to a filter. Now, the interesting thing about modular synthesis, I can't even say it right because I laugh about it a lot, is that you have the ability to rework how things are connected. And that could be interesting for a lot of reasons. But having said that, there's so many ways and so many sounds you can get up out of without having to reroute it in that particular way. And it's really not limited here. You're only limited by your imagination. See how it's evolving over time. Another cool thing about this piece is that Well, I could sequence things if I wanted to. So let's come up with a sequence. Sequence length, just for kicks and giggles, let's make this sequence 16 steps, okay? You count the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's another 8, 16, right? So let's get out of here. And if I wanted to record something, I can. Let's go. Okay. Now, if I play it back, it's going to play it back at the tempo I set. And I still have full control over the sound. I like that a lot. 25 BPM, that's really slow, right? So like, man, like I'm just saying, like it's kind of crazy how that would work out. Like 25 BPM, that's super slow. Okay, but I really like this sound, so I'm gonna save it. But let's find something a little bit more percussive. These are all sounds that I designed here. Let's make a new sequence. We're going to delete all steps in case there was something in there. So let's try that. Oh, I was actually recording. Duh. Stop. And let's see how many steps are on this sequence. Let's go with 32 this time. So we doubling the amount of steps, each step, so every note. That's what I mean by steps. Everything that I play, every key, every pad. So it'll be 32 pads. And then they'll loop. Oh, it recorded what I did. That's really cool. That actually sounded kind of fun. Oh, so let's go with the 16. Because I already made a sequence while we were messing around. Oh, there we go. Bring it back. Well, actually what I just did was funny. I didn't mean to do that. I just loaded a different sound. Sometimes this piece will confuse you. That's funny. That's the cool part, getting lost in sound. You know, as Kill says, happy accidents happen all the time. I was trying to, that's that sound. Okay, now let's record, hold, delete all steps, take off record. Okay, and we'll do 32 of those. Sequence length, 32. Now we back. So let's hit engage record. Okay, here we go. Let's see how that sounds. I like it, but I think we could do better. It's kind of fun. Let's record some. Now, play. There we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, didn't nobody tell me now I got this set at the wrong BPM. I'm like, wait a minute, it sure is off. I was trying to nudge it in my head like it was a turntable.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2,
So this is only 1 bar, but we can expand that. Let's go 4 bars. And what I'm doing here now, so we can have more of a pattern variation in this sequence.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
right sound is key. See, I'm just trying to figure out how I want to go about this. difficult with broken wrist, but I'm making it. There we go. I hear something, but I'm trying to get there for you. Together we'll arrive someplace at some time. cool. Highly improvisational. Cool. So let me break apart some of the things that I was doing. Some of the things that I was doing. So, various tools here. Synthesizer, drum machine, sampler. Synthesizer, drum machine, sampler. iPad, just a control device, right? So what's happening here is that I am designing sound. Designing sounds, I'm integrating them over some drum beats. Making drum beats just like that. New pattern. Woo. Empty pattern. Let's go back to that. Let's copy pattern to pattern 2, and then we're going to paste pattern. Right? And then we're going to clear that pattern. So then we have those same drums that we just set up. So I can make something off this real quick for you. Let's get us a metronome. I'll play it. Let's make it a little longer. Bars. Like that. So I can go back. I could have just stayed in there, right? But remember, I got to go. I went in and erased all those notes. See, that's when the sample, oh, I know what that was. So the sample extended. See, it's a long sample, right? So I didn't have I got a start time, but the end time is so far away. So that's interesting. let's take this. Some end time on this baby. Let's see. Off. There we go. That's the level. No one needs to adjust that. Loop position. We're fine with that because we're not going to loop it. But just in case. Now let's take this off position. You can see it starts and ends. But now you can just kind of visualize it, but it's still good to listen. All the same things still apply. Attack, decay, sustain, and release. Got a long amp on that. Long tail. That's better. Love that. Started on the second bar. back around, here it comes. Working the microphone. So check it out, it's your brother L kicking it. And this has been the first version of the live PA workshop series. We'll work out the kinks along the way, but the idea is to make it clear that we use these tools and we have control of these tools. And the real idea is to communicate an idea, right? These tools are connected to us and we're connected to you. All right, so tune in next time. I'll see you in about a month, right? And we'll be doing it again, another guest. I'd like to thank our cool Aquil, AQ, for blessing the first iteration of this workshop series. Very interesting. Aquil was once a resident at HCL, so that kind of comes all full circle. We keeping the dream alive, you know, live PA for inspiration and healing. And like I say, we use the tools don't use us. The equipment itself is not enough. Boom.